Ibrahim Traoré, a brazen impostor. A bone-chilling video leaks from a secret prison deep in Europe's underbelly, revealing a desperate man swearing he's the true president of Burkina Faso. Has an entire nation been deceived by a shameless fraud? The world demands answers, but the earth-shattering truth could demolish everything they thought they knew. Are you ready to confront the scandal the elites are desperate to silence? Dawn broke quietly over Ouagadougou, sunlight gently piercing through the dust, but within seconds, tranquility shattered like glass. Global media channels erupted simultaneously with an explosive revelation. Bold red headlines screamed, "President Ibrahim Traoré is an impostor." The shocking claims surged through the internet at lightning speed, paralyzing millions worldwide. A grainy, disturbing video emerged, filmed in an undisclosed, heavily secured facility somewhere deep in Europe. Behind bulletproof glass sat a man whose features chilled the blood of every viewer. He was unmistakably Ibrahim Traoré, the exact scar beneath his eye, the unmistakable timbre of his voice, even the precise furrow of his brow, eyes piercing straight into the camera. The captive's voice cracked, carrying the weight of a harrowing truth. "My name is Ibrahim Traoré. I am the real president. 2 years ago, they stole my life. The man ruling Burkina Faso today is a fake, a clone crafted meticulously by forces hidden in shadow." His voice echoed across continents, each word slicing deeper than the last. Within hours, a political storm engulfed Burkina Faso. The United Nations demanded immediate transparency. The African Union severed diplomatic ties. Western embassies frantically evacuated, anticipating a storm of unrest inside Burkina Faso. Disbelief rapidly shifted to panic. Streets buzzed with uncertainty. Rumors of impending coups burned fiercely online. Yet, at the storm's center stood President Ibrahim Traoré, silent, unreadable, and chillingly composed. His silence wasn't surrender. It resonated like a whisper of impending judgment, suggesting the world had yet to see his final move. As the explosive revelation ripped through the world, the storm it unleashed swiftly struck deep into the heart of Burkina Faso. Ouagadougou trembled not from riots or uprisings, but from a far deadlier weapon doubt. Diplomatic cables flashed frantically across continents, bringing ultimatums and demands for transparency. Within days, the African Union suspended all diplomatic ties, isolating Burkina Faso diplomatically. Foreign embassies lowered their flags hurriedly, closing doors and leaving behind empty buildings echoing the silence of betrayal. Amidst the turmoil, people waited desperately for one voice, President Ibrahim Traoré's. Yet, from the presidential palace, nothing came, no press conferences, no official statements. The leader known for his decisiveness now offered only a silence so deafening it overshadowed the chaos. In homes and cafes, whispered conversations turned anxious. Online, speculation exploded like wildfire. Was he truly a fake? Was this all an elaborate conspiracy? Each hour of silence deepened the suspicion. Advisors urged Traoré to respond to reassure the world, to quiet the fears gripping his nation. But when his security advisor finally confronted him, shaken and confused, Traoré stood calmly at his window, gazing outward, unbothered by the storm. Without turning, he offered a single sentence, a quiet declaration holding immense weight. "They believe they've caught us by surprise, but I placed my pieces long before they even set the board." His words, few but powerful, hinted at something deeper, something strategic and fearless, preparing the world for a revelation that would soon rewrite everything they thought they knew. 1 year earlier, beneath the calm surface of political routine, Ibrahim Traoré sensed something unsettling, a subtle tremor in the fabric of his carefully guarded world. It began quietly, unremarkably, with an article published in a prominent European newspaper. At first glance, the story appeared harmless, a casual profile, subtly flattering, yet oddly detached, as if it were describing not a real man, but a fictional character. Most would have ignored it, dismissing the odd tone as mere journalistic creativity. But Traoré was not most people. His instincts, honed from years on the front lines, had never betrayed him. Each line seemed meticulously crafted, gently reshaping perceptions of his identity, an effort subtle enough to avoid detection, yet insidious enough to plant seeds of doubt, sitting alone in his office. Traore studied the article intently, underlining phrases, tracing connections, his gaze sharpening with every word. Behind its seemingly benign facade, he recognized the fingerprints of sophisticated psychological warfare, a deliberate move to test the boundaries of his public image. That night, he summoned only his most trusted intelligence officers, without dramatics. He instructed them quietly and decisively, trace the origins of this subtle manipulation, infiltrate the shadowy corridors from which these narratives emerged. There is a deeper game in motion, he warned them calmly. Someone is crafting a narrative to replace reality. We must know who and why before their whispers become truths. In the following months, as intelligence reports flowed discreetly back to him, Traore patiently pieced together a startling picture. Every small discovery deepened his certainty. Behind the subtle article lay the early stirrings of a dangerous, deliberate conspiracy. The man he had spent his life becoming the president, the soldier. The symbol was quietly, meticulously being prepared for theft. From that moment, Traore moved swiftly, quietly, and precisely setting his own countermeasures in motion, while publicly remaining calm and composed, behind closed doors. He meticulously wove an intricate web of surveillance. Every whisper became a target, every suspicion a lead to follow. Under his direct oversight, a small, trusted circle of intelligence operatives infiltrated Europe's most secretive communication networks. They embedded themselves deep within foreign news agencies and private intelligence groups, carefully disguised as technical consultants, freelancers, or anonymous informants. Each operative acted invisibly, undetected, silently absorbing critical information. Weeks passed into months, and the invisible war intensified. Through coded messages and encrypted reports, Ibrahim steadily uncovered the layers of an increasingly sophisticated plan codenamed Miroir Noir by its creators. Piece by piece, the dark reality took shape, a carefully engineered plot to replicate him entirely, a clone designed to replace not merely his image, but his very existence. Late one night, deep beneath the presidential palace, Ibrahim studied secret footage recorded from within a covert training facility in Europe. He watched silently as surgeons painstakingly crafted his physical likeness onto another man's face, his features, his scars, even his subtle gestures, mimicked perfectly. But Traore felt no fear. Instead, a fierce determination blazed within him. He understood exactly what they wanted to steal, not just his identity, but the soul of Burkina Faso itself. He knew that only precision, patience, and absolute secrecy could thwart such a deeply embedded threat. Quietly closing the file, Ibrahim gave a single, decisive nod to his closest advisor. "They have built a shadow of me," he said firmly, calmly. "But they underestimate one thing: a shadow can mimic a man's face, but never his spirit." His preparations complete, he awaited the inevitable storm, ready to reveal the truth at precisely the right moment. Behind the polished glass facades of anonymous buildings scattered across Europe's wealthy capitals, the architects of Miroir Noir worked tirelessly. They operated with cold precision, their goals as sharp and unyielding as surgical steel. Traore's infiltration had revealed a nightmare far darker than he initially imagined, a meticulously planned operation aimed at not merely tarnishing his reputation, but at completely replicating him. At the heart of this hidden conspiracy stood a private intelligence firm, a shadowy entity funded generously by influential European businessmen and politicians, whose interests extended far beyond mere profit. Their ambitions lay in reshaping Africa's political landscape, ensuring a puppet obedient to their commands. Within an undisclosed high-security compound, a team of surgeons meticulously sculpted another man's face to mirror Traore's perfectly. Every feature was matched with obsessive accuracy, the distinctive scar beneath his eye, each wrinkle etched from years of hardship, even the precise way he raised an eyebrow when deep in thought. But physical resemblance alone would not suffice. The clone required something deeper, an uncanny duplication of behavior, speech patterns, and subtle mannerisms for months. The impostor was relentlessly trained in a closed facility equipped with state-of-the-art technology. Specialists coached him through endless simulations, reconstructing Ibrahim's exact tone, his authoritative stride, and the quiet intensity that had inspired millions. Surveillance footage that Traore had covertly obtained now played quietly before him, revealing eerie scenes of the impostor repeating speeches Traore himself had once delivered passionately to his nation. Every pause, every inflection, every controlled gesture mimicked with chilling precision, watching silently. Ibrahim's anger simmered quietly beneath a mask of composed determination. The conspirators had believed they could steal his identity and hijack the spirit of his people by manufacturing a perfect illusion. Yet, Ibrahim recognized something critical, something overlooked by his enemies. He knew that true leadership wasn't just skin deep, it resided in memory, pain endured, loyalty earned, and truths spoken in moments that shaped history. The architects of the conspiracy had built a flawless shadow, but shadows dissolve when exposed to a stronger light. In silence, Ibrahim prepared to deliver that light, knowing the moment to shatter their illusion would soon arrive. The video ignited chaos, panic, and confusion, gripping Burkina Faso by the hour. Crowds gathered anxiously in streets and cafes, eyes glued to screens replaying the haunting images. International media relentlessly demanded responses. Diplomats urgently sought clarity. Yet through this escalating turmoil, President Ibrahim Traoré remained utterly silent. In the presidential palace, advisors paced nervously, arguing fiercely for immediate public appearances, press releases, anything to reassure a shaken nation. But Traoré stood quietly at his desk, eyes unwavering, revealing nothing. His silence, deliberate and unyielding, became a force itself, more powerful than the mounting storm outside. Across the country, citizens grappled with growing uncertainty. Whispers became accusations. Fear hardened into suspicion. Social media flared with theories. Is it true? Could our president really be an impostor? The absence of any official statement felt almost unbearable, amplifying every rumor to fever pitch. Yet, deep within the palace's dimly lit room, Ibrahim calmly met the anxious gaze of his trusted security advisor. Tension thickened the air. The advisor hesitated, finally asking the question that hung heavily unspoken. "Sir, should we say nothing at all?" Traore raised his eyes slowly, revealing a quiet strength forged through a lifetime of trials. His voice was steady, clear, and resolute. "They believe they've trapped us in confusion, but silence is my weapon now. Let their false narrative consume itself. When the moment comes, our truth will speak louder than all their lies." With those quiet words, Ibrahim reaffirmed his strategy, letting the enemy underestimate the man they had tried to erase, unaware that the silence they mocked concealed an unstoppable storm ready to strike. Even as public panic surged unchecked, Ibrahim Traoré's calculated silence masked precise, strategic movements behind the scenes, from deep within secured rooms beneath the presidential palace. Traoré meticulously assembled his final moves prepared long before the enemy had placed their first piece on the board. Unbeknownst to the conspirators, Ibrahim had already captured the impostor, his own counterfeit, weeks earlier in a stealth operation executed flawlessly by his most trusted agents. Now, hidden away from the world, the false Ibrahim sat secured, powerless yet defiant, waiting unknowingly to be revealed as the hollow shadow he truly was. Traoré carefully reviewed the comprehensive evidence stacked meticulously before him, classified documents detailing every phase of the conspiracy. The scripts for fabricated videos, encrypted communications, and chillingly authentic surveillance footage capturing behind-the-scenes rehearsals. Each piece was now locked into place, irrefutable and damning. As he scanned the dossiers, a quiet intensity hardened Ibrahim's expression. There was no anger now, only clarity, determination, and unbreakable resolve. He understood clearly the stakes, not merely his reputation, but the sovereignty and spirit of Burkina Faso itself. This was a battle he could not and would not lose. Turning toward his trusted advisor, Ibrahim spoke quietly yet decisively. They've built their lie carefully, but we have dismantled it even more carefully. Tomorrow, the world will see who holds the truth." His words carried the quiet certainty of victory already won, with every piece in place. Ibrahim Traoré stood ready, poised to shatter the carefully constructed illusion, prepared to reclaim the narrative and the destiny of his nation. The nation collectively held its breath as news spread swiftly through the capital. President Ibrahim Traoré had finally broken his silence, but his statement was unlike any Burkina Faso had ever seen. He had called for a public, televised confrontation, not a speech, not a denial, something far more dramatic. At the heart of Ouagadougou, inside the largest auditorium available, lights burned bright, cameras positioned strategically to capture every possible angle. The auditorium filled swiftly officials, journalists, citizens all gathered with anxious anticipation. Millions more waited anxiously behind screens across the country and around the world, captivated by the unprecedented event about to unfold. The doors opened simultaneously at opposite ends of the stage, creating a moment of electrifying tension. Gasps rippled through the crowd as two men emerged, each perfectly mirroring the other identical posture, identical faces, identical calmness. The air thickened with confusion and disbelief. No one could confidently distinguish between the president and the impostor. Even seasoned journalists found their cameras trembling slightly, struggling to comprehend the surreal moment. Security guards exchanged uneasy glances, their hands resting nervously near their weapons. On stage, the two men moved slowly, deliberately, coming to stand mere feet apart, eyes locked in a piercing, silent confrontation. This was no ordinary political theater. It was a deeply personal confrontation, a battle for the soul of a nation waged through silence and the strength of conviction. Ibrahim Traoré, the true president, felt no fear as he stood face to face with his shadow. He saw only clarity of purpose, knowing the weight of truth was firmly on his side. The impostor, trained meticulously to deceive millions, projected confidence, yet beneath that veneer lurked uncertainty, doubt eating silently at his resolve. The entire room waited tensely for Ibrahim to speak, knowing that when he finally broke the silence, the truth would echo far beyond the walls of the auditorium, reverberating through history itself. Under the glare of bright lights, the tension within the auditorium reached an almost unbearable intensity. Two men, identical reflections of each other, stood motionless, facing off in absolute silence. The audience, captive to this surreal spectacle, waited desperately for clarity. Finally, Ibrahim Traoré stepped forward slowly, purposefully, his gaze unwavering as it locked firmly onto the eyes of the impostor before him. His voice, steady yet filled with quiet authority, echoed powerfully across the hushed auditorium. "There's something you cannot replicate, something deeper than a face, a voice, or even a scar. Memory." The impostor remained rigid, feigning composure, yet subtle tension revealed itself, the faint clench of his jaw, a nearly imperceptible hesitation in his stance. Ibrahim continued, his tone sharp and precise. "Tell everyone here, clearly and truthfully, when did I first hold an AK-47 and who placed it in my hands?" The question hung heavily in the air, simple yet loaded with significance. It wasn't just a personal detail. It was an experience rooted deeply in Traoré's past, one impossible to fabricate or rehearse convincingly. A suffocating silence followed. The impostor's eyes darted briefly, betraying uncertainty. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound emerged. His confident mask began to crack under the weight of the truth he could never imitate. The carefully constructed facade shattered visibly before millions of viewers, exposing him as nothing but a meticulously crafted imitation. The room collectively exhaled, a rush of realization sweeping through the crowd like a tidal wave. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment the impostor's carefully rehearsed confidence crumbled into confusion and fear. Ibrahim stepped forward once more, his voice now sharpened with fierce, determined clarity. "You stole my image, but you could never steal my memories, my convictions, or my people's trust. A shadow can imitate only what is seen, not what is lived." The auditorium erupted in spontaneous applause, An outpouring of relief and admiration. Citizens watching from homes and cafes cheered, recognizing the power of authenticity, the resilience of their true leader. Standing tall, Ibrahim watched calmly as security officers approached swiftly, taking custody of the defeated impostor. In that moment, he knew the illusion had shattered irrevocably, leaving behind only truth, raw, undeniable, and powerful. And as the applause thundered around him, Ibrahim Traoré felt deeply the reaffirmation of his nation's faith, a truth no conspiracy could ever silence again, with the impostor unmasked. The time had finally come for Ibrahim Traoré to deliver the decisive blow. Standing firmly at the podium, under the harsh lights of 1,000 cameras, he held up a thick dossier, a carefully compiled record of undeniable truths. In measured tones, Ibrahim calmly unveiled the intricate, shadowy network behind Miroir Noir. The room fell deathly silent, each revelation landing heavily, resonating with profound clarity. He methodically displayed irrefutable evidence contracts signed covertly in Brussels, detailed blueprints of the facial surgeries, recordings of rehearsals designed to deceive an entire nation. As Ibrahim narrated each chilling detail, large screens behind him illuminated with stark, irrefutable images, the impostor rehearsing fabricated scenes, technical teams meticulously altering videos, and clandestine meetings captured through hidden surveillance. Each new disclosure sent shockwaves through those watching, dismantling the elaborate deception layer by layer. The president's voice remained composed but firm, carrying the weight of justice and truth. "This was not merely an attack on me personally," he declared. "It was a direct assault upon the sovereignty and dignity of Burkina Faso, a calculated attempt by powerful interests abroad to control our future by rewriting our present." Just then, in a move that stunned the international audience, Ibrahim projected onto the screens confidential emails and recorded confessions from the conspiracy's architects, directors, financiers, and political operatives, each explicitly confirming their roles. Names known globally appeared starkly, leaving nowhere for these influential figures to hide. The auditorium trembled with the gravity of his revelations. Journalists scrambled urgently, capturing every word, realizing the narrative had irreversibly shifted. The conspiracy, once hidden deeply behind masks of power and influence, now lay exposed, vulnerable beneath the bright lights of transparency. As Ibrahim finished, the room erupted into sustained, thunderous applause. Citizens across Burkina Faso watched in awe and pride, witnessing their president's unwavering strength in confronting powerful adversaries. For the first time, the nation clearly saw the courage of their leader, not only defending himself, but fiercely guarding their collective freedom, standing resolutely before the world. Ibrahim Traoré knew the truth had become his most powerful weapon, and he wielded it decisively, reshaping the narrative, reclaiming the dignity of a nation once threatened by shadows. Within hours of Ibrahim Traoré's explosive revelations, shockwaves surged through global political corridors. European capitals descended into crisis as the names and faces of prominent politicians and wealthy financiers flashed relentlessly across news bulletins, exposed for their roles in the audacious plot. Major media outlets scrambled frantically, forced into unprecedented public apologies as they admitted to disseminating carefully manufactured falsehoods. Editorial boards resigned, newsrooms descended into chaos, and reputations built meticulously over decades crumbled overnight. The carefully constructed narrative designed to discredit Burkina Faso had spectacularly imploded, dragging its creators into a humiliating spotlight in Brussels, Paris, and London. Emergency sessions convened rapidly as calls echoed loudly for transparent investigations. Political figures previously shielded by power and influence now faced the grim prospect of accountability, an outcome they had arrogantly dismissed as impossible mere days earlier. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, disbelief swiftly turned to pride. Citizens poured into streets, squares, and marketplaces, their spirits reignited by the resolute strength shown by their president. Ibrahim Traoré was no longer simply a leader. He had become a symbol of unwavering courage and national dignity, a beacon illuminating a new path forward for an entire continent. At the presidential palace, Ibrahim watched the unfolding chaos abroad with composed satisfaction. Justice, he knew, had begun its slow, inevitable march. The architects of deception had underestimated the resilience of truth and paid dearly for their arrogance, quietly. Ibrahim reflected on the turn of events, understanding clearly they had sought to diminish a nation, yet inadvertently had reaffirmed its strength and unity. The world had indeed turned upside down, but for Ibrahim Traoré and his people, it now stood rightfully, finally, upright. Nightfall descended gently upon Ouagadougou, bathing the capital in quiet, golden twilight. Yet tonight, the city radiated an unmistakable energy. Thousands upon thousands of citizens flooded toward Revolution Square, their footsteps echoing powerfully through streets previously heavy with uncertainty. Now, their steps resonated with pride and reclaimed dignity. At the heart of the gathering stood Ibrahim Traoré, the man who had defied conspiracies and reclaimed truth. Calm, resolute, and unwavering. He gazed across the swelling sea of hopeful faces, sensing their collective heartbeat, their renewed faith pulsating tangibly through the night. Held tightly in his grasp was a stark document, a chilling copy of the order authorizing the assassination of Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary leader whose legacy still inspired courage and resistance across generations. Ibrahim raised the document high above his head, the symbolism immediately understood by every soul present. For a brief moment, absolute silence embraced the square, eyes widened, breaths paused. Then Ibrahim's voice pierced the quiet night air, clear and resonant, echoing decisively across the assembled masses. Tonight, we confront the ghosts of our past not with fear, but with strength. Sankara's spirit is alive. His vision never died. And as thousands held their breath, Ibrahim prepared to ignite not just paper, but the very soul of a new Burkina Faso. In the charged silence, Ibrahim lowered the document solemnly toward a waiting flame. As the fire caught hold, it flared brightly, illuminating his determined face, reflecting the courage and resilience of millions behind him. The flames danced wildly, swiftly consuming the chilling order, symbolic chains breaking free at last. The crowd erupted spontaneously, a roar surging from deep within their hearts, echoing fiercely across Revolution Square, their voices united powerfully, resonating with pride, strength, and defiance, a collective vow that their dignity would never again be compromised by shadows and lies. As the fire turned the paper into ashes drifting skyward, Ibrahim spoke once more, his voice firm yet deeply human. Reaching intimately into the soul of his nation, they assassinated Sankara because he dared to say no, today. They tried to steal my face because I dared to say enough, but we see clearly now, and we will no longer kneel. No. His words ignited hope, resolve, and unity. Burkina Faso had faced darkness and deception, yet emerged stronger, brighter, tonight. As the final embers rose into the sky, each citizen knew the future belonged unequivocally to them, not to shadows, but to truth, strength, and freedom. Ibrahim Traoré stood quietly, the people's cheers embracing him like a powerful tide, affirming the timeless truth, courage, when matched with integrity, will always defeat illusion. Thank you all for watching this video. Please comment and let me know what you think about this story. Please like and subscribe to watch more great content on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories of personal growth and empowerment.